question this time is from Mr. P.M. Anvina in Mina, Nigeria. And he's very interested in the exploration of Mars and speaks of his disappointment at the failure of the Russian Mars 96 probe. He hopes interest in Mars among Russian scientists will survive this blow.
Oh, it definitely will. You may be sure of that, Mr. Gina.
Yeah, Boris, there have been fascinating claims from several Western planetologists. They say they found evidence of the existence of life long ago on Mars. Now, are you familiar with these claims, Boris?
Yes, of course. The wittiest of these claims comes from a group headed by Dr. David McKay of the Johnson Space Center. Now, they claim that chemical, microscopic, and organic tests of tiny bits of an Antarctic meteorite prove that there must have been microscopic life on Mars some 3.6 billion years ago. Now, this conclusion is drawn mainly from studies of particles much smaller than a pinhead, which come from a meteorite called Allen Hills 84001, a rock believed to have been formed on Mars. It's said to have been blasted out of that planet and then just landed in an Antarctic ice field 13,000 years ago, where it was picked up in 1984.
Well, how do Russian scientists feel about these claims? Do they regard the evidence as convincing proof that life did actually indeed exist on Mars a few billion years ago?
Well, you see, the evidence presented by Dr. McKay and his colleagues at the Johnson Space Center has been carefully studied in this country and checked. For example, by Dr. Galima at the Baliski Institute of Geochemistry and Analytical Chemistry, of which Galima, by the way, is the head. This study has not convinced Galima and his colleagues that their American colleagues have really built up a case proving the existence of life on Mars in the past, despite the worldwide interest that McKay claims around.
Really? What is it in the evidence that the Russian scientists regard as proofing then?
Well, consider that evidence yourself. The case for the existence of life on Mars rests on four arguments. First, the American group have identified an unusual combination of minerals, which, in their view, could not have arisen in a purely inorganic process. Second, the isotopic composition of some of the chemical elements found in those minerals suggest their extraterrestrial origin. Third, there is the presence of rather complicated organic compounds known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And fourth, there is the discovery of unusual microstructures said to resemble the remains of microorganisms. These four pieces of evidence, in conjunction, are presented by the American group as evidence of the one-time functional activity of living organisms.
Do you challenge this conclusion?
Yes, on the whole, we don't challenge this conclusion. We have learned that the geochemical data presented by the McKay group has led him to conclude that simple inorganic processes offer a more plausible explanation of the evidence.
But what about the unusual combination of minerals that you mentioned as being part of the evidence?
No, believable explanation for such a combination. He describes the natural conditions in which it could have arisen as a result of simple inorganic processes.
But the American group, as you said, also spoke of isotope evidence.
True, they did. But Galima points out that these pieces of evidence likewise lend themselves to a different interpretation. The isotope composition could have been a result of processes quite different from life. This does suggest an extraterrestrial origin of some of the material of nothing more.
You spoke of complicated organic compounds present in the meteorite. I'm afraid I don't remember their names.
Yes, polyaromatic hydrocarbons.
Yes.
This is not clinching proof of the biological origin of the material either. Galima points out that such hydrocarbons occur in sedimentary rocks and earth, and formed through the burning of vegetable matter. But these compounds also arise in processes entirely unrelated to life, and therefore they cannot be regarded as evidence of past life on Mars. They could be a purely magnetic, as the geologists say, origin.
Boris, there are mainly unusual microstructures which the Americans claim resemble the remains of microorganisms.
Very true, yes. And Galima does consider this the most intriguing part of the evidence presented by the McKay group. The group maintains that these egg-shaped structures are reminiscent of what are known as nanobacteria. Galima accepts that this is a weightier piece of evidence than the geochemical arguments we've just discussed. But he points out that among inorganic structures too, there sometimes occur formations of very intricate and unusual shapes.
And his overall conclusion is what?
It is that, contrary to the interpretation of McKay and his colleagues, the evidence presented is fully compatible with an inorganic model. In other words, the claims made by this American group do not really support a conclusion that life at one time existed on Mars. Claims that have been widely reported in the media and somewhat sensationalized. At the same time, Galima considers that the work done by the American group is very important. It shows that state-of-the-art analytical techniques do now make possible progress in investigating the problem of the existence of extraterrestrial life. However, the discovery of life forms on other bodies of the solar system would be such an epoch-making event that the evidence supporting it is absolutely unassailable. So far, the evidence is not absolutely unassailable.
So where could such unassailable evidence come from then, Boris?
Well, from further studies of meteorites of Martian origin and from future exploration of Mars itself. That evidence could be really clinching.
Well, Boris, you must certainly keep us informed about any advances in this fascinating area, wherever they come from. But in the meantime, I have to turn to another question, and this one comes from a listener in Ireland, Adrian O'Brien. He's a computer programmer. You've already answered this question, Boris, about computers, but he's also interested in computer-aided design. Now, Boris, could you give us an example of a field in which computer-aided design is being used with success here in Russia?
One such field which springs to mind at once is the aircraft industry. Computer-aided design, or CAD, is being employed in optimizing the aerodynamic configuration of aircraft. This has become possible thanks to the development of the necessary methods and software. They've been applied, for example, to evaluate such things as the mutual influence of the nose and tail horizontal fins on the liftability of the wing.
Now, has such computer-aided design actually paid off? I mean, in terms of business and CapEx, as you say?
Yes, it has. A study of the aerodynamic and weight characteristics of the lift system of a modern transport plane has verified ways of minimizing drag and something. New aerodynamic configurations obtained in this way should produce better performance characteristics than those say of the Ilyushin 114 or the Tupolev 334. In economic terms, which you asked about, this should mean reduced fuel consumption, greater range, and example, the manufacturer of the Proton K heavy space booster.
Any idea how the new computer-aided design system is to be used?
It's to be used to upgrade the Proton. It's to be used also to design the promising Angular rocket. I believe I've already mentioned it. And the Boris M booster, which, by the way, is also to be used in the West European Ariane 5 rocket of the Ariane Space Company.
Okay, that's all we've got time for, I'm afraid. We'll be back after the jingle with a reminder of the address where you can send in your questions.